Hey everybody, welcome back to Garage Gear. I'm JB and it is Tacoma time again. We are putting in an entire new speaker system in this Tacoma. Today we're installing two new tweeters in the dash. We're installing two new 6x9 speakers in each of the doors, and then we're installing two 6.5-inch speakers in each of the access cab doors. Each one of these speaker installs will be its own simple video to follow along with, and I'll have them all linked in the description down below. It is time for a sound upgrade, so stick around. So these speakers basically crank out the equivalent of an alarm clock speaker. They're just not that clear, and that was a big reason why I wanted to invest in some better speakers. In fact, the only way to get any good sound clarity out of this is to turn the volume pretty much all the way up. So we're gonna put in a whole new sound system here. And when I started researching this, I found that Kicker makes an entire plug and play sound system. I don't have to deal with any soldering or rewiring. This is totally plug and play. Awesome. This entire set has very good reviews and is super easy to install. I haven't changed speakers on a vehicle in over 15 years, so I wanted something that's going to be very easy to put in. So I already showed you the speakers here, but what I also have here are wiring harnesses. These are going to make our plug and play options really easy to install. I have our housing brackets for the speakers, and these are for the smaller speakers in the access cab doors. And then I also have my ratchet set. I have my impact driver, which will help us get this going a little bit quicker. And then I also have my prying tools to get our panels off. Now these are going to be really important. I will have links in the description below for all of these items so that way you could do this on your own. I also have an index card here. I heard that this is going to make prying up some of the panels a little bit easier so that way these tools don't scratch my interior panels. So what I'm going to do now, everybody, is I'm going to play a song that is YouTube approved off of my iPod into the sound system, so that way you can kind of get an idea of what the sound sounds like and what the clarity of the sound is like before I put the speaker system in. And my hope is that your phone speakers and maybe your desktop speakers can kind of show the improvement at the end when this is all done. Okay folks, so there you go. So you kind of get the idea of where we have a baseline of sound clarity at. Now my hope is that when we put in all these new speakers, that sound clarity will just be incredible. So let's get to it. So our first step is going to be popping the hood and unhooking the battery. We're going to use a 10mm and our 3/8 socket. So what we must do here is we must take off this A-frame panel right here. And underneath this little SRS airbag cap, I will find a little nut that I have to remove. That will allow me to take off this whole panel here. And voila, there it is. I'm going to now use my impact driver to remove this. There we go. Always remember where all these bolts go. So now this panel should just come right out. There it is. There is your airbag, so we don't want to touch anything near that. Set that aside. So now I should be able to pop this off without a hitch. I'm going to carefully take my wedge tool and get up underneath this, and then this should just pop right off. Again, I'm using my 3x5 card to kind of help not mar up my dash. There it is. Panels off. So now, as you can see, we have two 10mm bolts. We're gonna get those off with a socket wrench. Having a deep well socket for this one's kind of important. It allows you to get it right in there so you can loosen it up. Now be careful not to drop them. Here's our first screw. We're gonna set that aside. Now the next one, we're gonna need a really small 10mm wrench. That's probably your best bet. I'm gonna get in there, loosen it up. This is the slowest part of the whole process right here, is getting at these guys. And then once it's loosened up, you can kind of get in there by hand and tackle it that way. Okay, there it is. Got it out. Not too hard of a fight. And here we have our tweeter. I wonder if they install these before the windshield goes on. They really do. So what I have here, I hope the camera picks this up. There's a little tab right here. I'm pointing to it with my screwdriver. I push down this tab, this whole cord should come right out. There it is. Got it. She's free. So there's your plug. There's your old tweeter. You can see it's just made of real simple paper. A little dusty in there. I thought I did a good job cleaning this. So now the big thing is I don't want to lose my wire here. So what I'm going to do is feed my screwdriver through that like that, so that way it doesn't fall back into the hole that it's coming out of. So now it's time to install our new kicker tweeter here. And now we're just going to plug it in. Simple as that. I'm going to push it down to where it's got to go. And now all we got to do is reinstall the screws. I'm going to get them in by hand first. There we go. Now I'm going to take my deep well socket and tighten the first one up. I'm going to snug it down. I don't need to crank it hard. I just got to snug it. That'll do. Then I'm going to use my wrench here. We're going to tighten this down. And that should do. We now have a new tweeter in its right spot. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to reassemble my A-frame panel, and this here is my remote start cord, so I'm going to push this kind of up and out of the way, and I'm going to slide the bottom end in first. There we go. That looks pretty good. Is it lined up? I'm going to check on the outside. Yep. She's lined up. I'm gonna reinstall our bolt. That's it, that ain't going nowhere. And then cap back on. One side done. So here's the new tweeter that I just put in, and then here's the old tweeter that I just took out. Again, you can see that we got nothing but paper in there, and then you can also see the magnet on the back is a bit bigger on these new kickers. So that's cool. Okay, so our next step is going to be getting this part of the A-frame off, and there are actually two bolts hiding underneath these little panels right here. Now I have seen Crutchfield's booklet, and they said that you could just take a card and pop this guy off, but a lot of people are recommending that in order to do this safely without ruining this cover, take this off first. What I'm going to do first is get in here with my screwdriver. I have a very thin one here. This should help us get in and remove this. Sometimes you can kind of pull it down with your thumb, allow a little bit more wiggle room. There we go. So if you guys look here, I kind of went in this top corner. I just kind of pulled back, used my index card on the A-frame so that way I don't scratch it. And I'm just going to kind of pop it off like that. Let the card get destroyed and not your panel. Actually, everything looks really good. There you go. There's one. I can kind of pull down with my thumb. There we go. And out it comes. There we go. Two bolts. We're going to take our 10mm impact driver socket. Take those out. There we go. There's one. Set it aside. There's two. And now my whole A-frame cover right here should come free. There we go. And out it comes. And then from here I should be able to use my index card and kind of help me pop this cover off. There we go. There's one. There's two. I don't think I need the tool right now. I can just get the rest of it off. There we go. Next cover is off. So now you can see we have two bolts holding it down just like the other one. So now I'm going to get in here with my 10mm deep well socket, because then that's going to hold my ratchet up a little bit higher. We're going to reverse that out. Go. This one's a little bit more accessible, I think. There we go. There's our first screw. And then just like the other one, loosen it up that way. Should be able to get this by hand. Oh yeah. There we go. There we go. There's our other bolt. Same thing. Pull the tweeter out. You can see it's plugged in. This one, the tab is right here. I'm going to push that in and pull it off. There we go. I'm going to catch my cord before it falls down in there. But there you go. There's your tweeter. There's your bottom of the tweeter. I'll probably end up selling those old ones on eBay. Not a bad idea. So then we have our new one. We have our cord. Simply plug it in. There we go. We're going to bolt it down. Use our same screws again. Line them up. Twist them in by hand. And there we go. Take my deep well socket. 10mm, tighten her up. Nice and snug. Take my wrench, tighten that guy down. That should do. We now have 2 tweeters in. So now when I go to reinstall my cover, I got these 2 tabs here. I'm gonna slide those in first. That was easy. So now I'm gonna reinstall my A-frame panel. These can be a little tricky. They don't negotiate quite as well as the other cover. There we go. Good. I can see my bolt holes here and here. It looks like we're back in order. I'm also lined up down here in the corners. I'm gonna take my bolts, pop them on my impact driver. Go, there's 1. Good, there's 2. That's on there. It's on. That's on. There we go. Reinstall the battery. That should do. Okay, so we have our tweeters back in, boxed up, everything's back where it needs to be. I plugged in the battery, and it looks like the only thing I'll have to readjust is maybe my clock, maybe a few other presets, we'll see, but that's the least of my concerns. Let's play the same song that we just played earlier and see if there's any noticeable change in clarity. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh definitely. I can hear it all coming out the front much clearer. That's good. That's cool. That is cool. That is nice. Okay, so there is a noticeable change. You can definitely hear the full clap of the drumstick on the drum when it's playing through the tweeters. You can hear those little sounds that you don't normally catch on the old tweeters. So that's nice. That's really nice. Well, Tacoma fans, that's a wrap for this tweeter install. The sound clarity is much better from the dash, and it only took about an hour to install. You can find a link to these tweeters that I purchased down in the description below, as well as the tools that I used to get this job done. Stick around for the next video where I rip apart the door to get the new 6x9 speakers in. A link for that video will be down in the description below. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button down below, and be sure to click that subscribe button so you get all the latest content. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the garage.